Andrew Berry just confirmed that the Cleveland Browns expect their veteran quarterback to remain on the roster through the 2026 season due to massive salary cap constraints. But before we break this down, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I have been looking at the numbers and listening to the press conferences, and the reality in Cleveland is hitting like a ton of bricks. Andrew Berry sat down recently and basically told the world that the team anticipates keeping their high-priced signal caller on the team for the final year of that historic contract. I know that for many of you watching, this feels like a tough pill to swallow given how the last few seasons have played out on the field. But I want to peel back the layers of this onion because this is not just about football talent anymore. This is a cold, hard business decision driven by the most restrictive contract in the history of the National Football League. When the Browns traded 3 first-round picks and handed out a fully guaranteed $230 million deal, they tied their hands in a way we have never seen before. I am looking at the salary cap projections for 2026, and the dead money associated with a release is simply astronomical. If the Browns were to part ways before that 2026 season, the hit to their cap space would effectively cripple the front office's ability to field a competitive roster around whoever the next guy might be. I see this as Andrew Berry being transparent about the financial prison the team is currently inhabiting. It is not necessarily a ringing endorsement of the play we have seen on the field, but rather an admission that the math does not allow for any other path. I have followed this team through some of its darkest days, and I can tell you that this situation is unique because the leverage is entirely on the side of the player. Even with the devastating Achilles injury that ended the current campaign prematurely, the structure of the deal ensures that the checks keep clearing and the roster spot remains occupied. I think it is important to understand that Berry is a calculated guy. He does not say things by accident. By putting this out there now, he is trying to manage expectations for a fan base that is hungry for a change. I am analyzing the impact of this on the 2025 draft as well, because if he is on the roster in 2026, it changes how they might evaluate taking a rookie early this April.
I want to dive deeper into why the 2026 timeline is so specific and what it means for the locker room culture moving forward. When I look at the dead cap figures, we are talking about a number that could exceed $70 or even $100 million, depending on the timing of a potential cut. I believe Andrew Berry is looking at 2027 as the first realistic window where the team can finally breathe again without the weight of this massive guaranteed deal crushing their operations. But what does that mean for the next 2 seasons? I think it means the Browns are going to be in a very awkward position where they are paying a premium for a player who has struggled to stay healthy, and even more importantly, has struggled to find the elite form he showed earlier in his career. I am watching the development of the rest of the roster, and I see a championship-caliber defense that is essentially being held hostage by the lack of consistent production from the most important position in sports. I have talked to league insiders who suggest that the Browns might still look for a bridge option or even a young developmental prospect, but the idea of a clean break is off the table for at least another 24 months. I find it fascinating that the organization is choosing to be this blunt about it. Usually, front offices like to keep their cards close to the vest, but the numbers are so public that there is no use in lying. I suspect that the plan involves hoping for a miraculous recovery and a return to form, but they are prepared for the alternative, which is simply riding out the storm. I am also considering how this affects the coaching staff. With Kevin Stefanski trying to navigate these waters, he is basically being told that he has to make it work with the assets he has. I think the frustration among the fans in Cleveland is justified, but as an analyst, I have to respect the honesty from Berry here. He is not selling a dream that he cannot deliver. He is telling you that the bill is due and they have to pay it. I want you to think about the long-term health of the franchise, because while these next 2 years might be a grind, the 2027 offseason will finally be the moment of liberation. I am going to keep a very close eye on how they handle the upcoming free agency period, because every dollar they spend now has to be weighed against the massive cap hits coming in 2025 and 2026. Stay tuned, because this saga is far from over.